I still do not wish to leave the beauty of Anapalsis, the real Anapalsis, so we're going to continue to stay here as we read the next tome. I think it's a Mondstadtian one, actually. I seem to jump around a lot. Breeze Amidst the Forest. Only 2 volumes, this one isn't too bad. Volume 1, Ballad Selection Excerpt. Breeze Amidst the Forest and Breeze Upon the Lake constitute a 2-volume collection of narrative poems. The compilation is a result of the tireless work of scholars who have recorded and arranged countless songs sung by Mondstadt bards. Bards often elaborate upon or fabricate history to draw in an audience and earn a few extra mora. Hence, most of their popular works have extremely low credibility. What has allowed the songs to remain popular to this day and to stand the test of 1,000 winds of time, I see what you did there, is the threads of spectacular imagination and ingenious rhetoric that have been woven into them. What is to be sung hails from ancient times. The gods walked among us in their prime. The poet, who had finished recounting the tale of the ruins and Vanessa, began to tell the story of the wind dragon. He began to sing. The story I tell you hails from ancient times, when the gods walked among us in their prime. The dragon graced by Animo was born... Asterisk? Typically, when life arises from the elements, it either descends and becomes a slime, or ascends and becomes a crystal fly. Rarely does this process give rise to dangerous elemental monsters. Elemental dragons are rarely seen and have the powers to match the gods of old. Okay. So, the dragon graced by Animo was born in the high heavens in that age of wonders. He slowly descended and inspected everything with curious eyes. He landed in a village, but the terrified villagers threw rocks at him. The dragon could not understand why they cried out in fear. He landed in a cemetery and only heard the lament of grieving people. The dragon could not understand what they murmured in their sorrow. He landed in an orchard, but was cursed by the furious farmers who lost their trees. The dragon could not understand why they screamed in anger. The world was too complicated for a young dragon. The dragon was bewildered, yet he did not give up. One day, the dragon heard music pouring out from the holy lyre de Humour. This was the name of the lyre belonging to the Anima Archon. Enchanted by the poetry, the wind dragon landed beside the best singer under the skies. Debatable. People panicked, for the mighty elemental dragons and the great archons that reigned over the earth had never seen eye to eye. I wonder why! Behold his beauty and benignity? The wind-born bard sang. But we do not know him, the people replied. What mysterious magic lies behind music and poetry that has the power to mesmerize both dragons and humans alike? I, for one, cannot fathom it. The dragon decided to stay with the bard, for he too wished to be understood by all souls. He learned human speech and the wind-born bard's singing techniques. Omitted. Later generations regarded him as one of the 4 winds that watched over and protected Mondstadt. An Atris son? Atris? Atris? That is a word I have never heard before. An Atris sun befell its kingdom, and a luminous pearl lost its glow. Nevaeus, I've also not heard of that word, silk grew dim, and wheaten gold burned brilliantly no more. Atris and Okay. Niveus, apparently is the correct pronunciation, it means like snow, snowy, i.e. white. And Atris doesn't exist according to dictionary.com, which is surprising, but the general internet says that it means jet lag, so it's black. So a black sun befell its kingdom, and then white silk grew dim. Or glowing silk, that kind of thing. Just strange words. Why can't they just use normal words? Anywho, so begins another tale that occurred in the lost Khanria kingdom. The Eclipse dynasty had fallen, and disaster spread across the land. The alchemist known as Gold was corrupted by their own greed and ambition, and created an army of shadowy monsters with their uncanny powers. Durin, a black serpentine dragon, rose from the sea to cast its shadow over Mondstadt. But it was at this very moment that there was no one to inherit the title of Lionfang Knight. Thus, the Knights of Avernus could not fly their falcon flag. There was no one to inherit the title of Lionfang Knight. Hey! There was no one appropriate. There was no one in a bloodline. I really need more information than that because you're not giving me much. And also, how does a lion fang knight have relevance to a falcon flag? They're very different symbolism. I don't understand the correlation at all. The persistent yet despondent prayers called upon the Archon of Mondstadt, the wind-born bard. The strings of the lyre were strummed once more, and the wind dragon was summoned forth. As Mondstadt's last line of defence, the wind dragon battled the wicked dragon to the death in the raging storms. The wind dragon prevailed. He tore open the throat of the wicked dragon, at the cost of ingesting its poisonous blood. The blood of the wicked dragon was distorted gold, with the powers to crumble mountains and poison the earth. The wind dragon protected Mondstadt with his life, and his only wish was to be understood by humans, and so he drifted off into a deep slumber. The holy lyre played a sorrowful tune. The holy lyre sang, "Should you awaken, spread your wings and live your life freely. A dragon is born to soar the skies, and mortals shall surely grasp your beauty." I want some more elaboration on Gold's involvement here. We're insinuating that Gold had something to do with the fall of Conria. Or, oh no, this is after. Conria has already fallen, and then the corruption spreading through to Mondstadt, where Gold fell to ambition. I'd still like to know more, please. Volume 2. The Dragon. An excerpt from An Investigation into the Cultural Customs of the Wind Kingdom, more commonly known as Records of Customs and Culture by Jacob Musk. Oh my god, this man gets around. So it's not just Hillchell he's interested in. He's interested in Mondstadt as a whole. The wolf of the Knight of Boreas, the lion of the Lion-Fang Knight, or Dandelion Knight. The falcon of the Knights of Favonius and the wind dragon Dvalin have been long regarded as the four winds that watch over Mondstadt. After the Lion-Fang Knight liberated Mondstadt, the Knights of Favonius was established, and the Knight of Boreas joined them. The tradition of worshipping the four winds was gradually formed in Mondstadt. However, Dvalin, the ancient wind dragon, predated them all. Approximately 100 years ago, the land was in chaos. Darkness spread, contaminating everything it touched. Barbarians and foul creatures roamed the lands, forcing people to dwell within the city-lit walls. It was an especially difficult time for Mondstadt. The Lion-Fang Knight was without a suitable heir, and the Knights of Favonius had lost many of its brave men and women during the bitter wars. During the most difficult of times, Durian, the corrupted dragon of immeasurable power, began attacking Mondstadt. The prayers of Mondstadt's people awoke the Animo Archon, and his will summoned forth the wind dragon Dvalin. As the last defender of Mondstadt, Dvalin battled Durian with all his might. The result was clear. Durian's remains still lie atop the snowy peaks to the south of Mondstadt. But the story of how the battle ended was lost in time. It is said that Dvalin ripped out Durian's throat, and together they fell from the sky. Durian's body sank into the snow, while Dvalin was summoned by the Animo Archon and fell into a slumber. People used to believe that Dvalin would awaken whenever Mondstadt faces a new threat, which is funny considering he was the threat in the actual game. But in these times of peace, the belief of the four winds has gradually eroded, and the temples lie all but completely deserted. Citation of unknown origin. By the time the knights finally discovered that the foreign monstrosity named Storm Terror, with which they had clashed countless times, was in fact Dvalin of the Four Winds, the enmity that had grown between them and driven them to conflict could not be undone. One can scarcely imagine the betrayal Dvalin must have felt when he awoke after 100 years of slumber, only to find that the people of Mondstadt, whom he had protected with his life, had forsaken him. Did they, though? He saved them. Shit still went down. They abandoned old Mondstadt and made current Mondstadt. And they didn't forsake him so much as forgot him or presumed him dead, and just moved on with their life. They can't keep, worshipping dragons that are in a slumber. What did he expect? And then he was the one who started attacking them. I know that he feels hard done by, but he kind of brought this on himself. Yes, I know, poisoned blood, corruption, or whatever it was that made him go bad, but at the same time, he kind of brought it on himself.